The Heart Disease and Diabetes Research Trust, or HDDRT, actively promotes research into the origins, causes, and nature of heart disease and diabetes and metabolic disorders. It was founded by the late Professor Victor Wynne in 1980. He was a pioneer in the field. He came to this country from Australia in 1950 as a clinical researcher, and later when he became Professor of Human Metabolism at St Mary's Paddington, he recognised that in order to provide the research into these diseases, it was going to be necessary to set up clinical research facilities and at the same time arrange for funding to cover the cost of the research. Currently, HDDRT are working with Imperial College and are sponsoring the research being carried on by Dr. Ian Godsland, the reader in human metabolism, under the auspices of Professor Desmond Johnston, Professor of Endocrinology and Metabolic Medicine.
One of the ways in which we obtain insights into common chronic disease, such as heart disease and diabetes, is by studying a large number of healthy volunteers in their early or middle years. We subsequently follow those people over many years, and some of them will develop heart disease and diabetes. We look to see which of the early measurements, the measurements that we performed initially, predict the later development of conditions like heart disease and diabetes. And these become the risk factors, the predictive factors for later disease. The reason why this is so important is that knowledge of risk factors gives people the opportunity to reduce their risk. Risk factors such as glucose, high glucose levels or high cholesterol levels can be reduced by lifestyle change, change in physical activity or change in diet, for example. Professor Victor Wynne started such a study at St Mary's Hospital in 1971. And the healthy volunteers whom he studied then, we've continued to follow. This obviously requires funding, and the Heart Disease and Diabetes Research Trust has been very generous, supporting the salary of Dr. Ian Godsland, the reader in human metabolism at St Mary's or at Imperial College. We need to secure additional funding so that we can continue to follow these people for long enough to get really meaningful predictive results.
My work as Wynne Reader in human metabolism at Imperial College London is mainly focused on the role of insulin in heart disease and diabetes. We're familiar with too little insulin as a factor in the development of diabetes, but resistance to insulin on the part of the body can also be of critical importance, not only in diabetes, but also in the development of heart disease. In the course of this work, we've shown how even small increases in blood sugar can be accompanied by major problems with the ability of the body to produce insulin. We've also shown how disturbances resulting from insulin resistance can be a critical factor in the development of heart disease, even beyond cholesterol or cigarette smoking. Most recently, we've been looking into how heart disease and diabetes, and also that other major chronic disease of industrial societies, cancer, are actually linked at a fundamental level by insulin resistance and also by the body's repair mechanism, inflammation, which is closely connected with insulin resistance.
In partnership with Imperial College London, the Heart Disease and Diabetes Research Trust proposes to extend its funding of research in this area by the creation of the new professorship in the new chair of metabolic medicine, the Wynne Professorship at Imperial College. The college already has an international reputation in research in diabetes and heart disease, and the Wynne Professorship will be a major addition to that research portfolio.
The world is experiencing an epidemic in diabetes, and many people will go on to develop heart disease, where in the UK, every 2 minutes, someone suffers a heart attack. It is the research carried on by trusts such as Heart Disease and Diabetes Research Trust into identifying the individual risks of such disease that is providing such a valuable contribution. For the National Health Service, prevention of these diseases is a high priority, and the prevention can be greatly enhanced by the information, accurate information, which is obtained by this trust. The trust is committed to identifying those people who are at risk in order to provide information to enable people to live healthier and longer lives. To carry on this research, the trust does need funding, and any donation to the trust would be very much welcomed by the trustees.